Hey, what is up, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby. And today I'm going to be showcasing you guys a competitive spin on my Ritual Beast deck. Been tweaking with this deck for a long time, for over a year. I've been like seriously tweaking it. And then other than that, it just collected dust. But I've really been trying to come up with a recipe for a lot of my decks lately. Trying to bring them to their peak, to their prime. Even if it's outside of the time when they originally were in their prime, I want to bring them back. And this is one of the decks that I feel that, it's been power crept in a way, and it's kind of just been overlooked and not taken seriously. But it has nabbed a few tops here and there, under people's right under the radar. A lot of people just don't take the deck seriously. It's really powerful. It has a strong engine built into it. It's just a very powerful arsenal. And what I wanted to do is just make it as competitive as possible with you know minor adjustments to the engine and a lot of sacrifices for what I want, instead of, a lot of sacrifices for what I need instead of what I want. I wanted to do brain research lab, more combo heavy. I wanted to play a lot more Ritual Beast cards. There's a lot of stuff I took out, you guys, just to make this deck able to compete with Sky Strikers, with Golkis, with Trick Stars, with Thunder Dragons when they come out. Pretty much anything that's meta. And the deck's already so powerful against Rogue decks that you don't need to modify the list for Rogue matchups. So let's go ahead and hop into the build, you guys. So starting off with one of our best starter monsters, we have 3 Ritual Beast Elder. So Elder is just your starter play, man. You want to normal summon this guy and you want to get out your Conahawk. That's your 2-card combo right there. You're going to generate a lot of advantage off of that. You're going to set up your board very, very nicely. You're going to get some resources off of that. So Elder, one of the best starters. The way this deck works is you want to get two particular types of monsters, being a Ritual Beast Tamer and the Spiritual Beast that they tame. It doesn't really matter which one. It just matters that you have one of each on the field, so that way you can contact fuse, and you're going to start generating plays depending on what fusion you make. Next up, we have one of the newer cards that's not that new. We have Tamer Winda. What's really incredible about this card is she is treated at all times as a beast that can be tamed and the tamer that tames them. And her effect is pretty awesome. She floats into any of them from your deck or your extra deck, ignoring the summoning conditions. So she's just incredible. It doesn't matter if she gets banished or not. If you kill her, she resolves. So she's pretty busted. And I like playing 2 of her because playing 2 of her means that you can cut down on certain names. Because a lot of the times I would play certain Ritual Beast monsters and tamers for the names, because they can all only be special summoned once. So it's really important to have different names so that in the duration of your combo, you don't run out of targets. Because if you have summoned all your names, then you can't continue extending your combo. So that means you have to stop. But having her is a really good addition to the deck. And then we have all the 1-ofs. We have 1 Win, 1 Laura, and 1 Zephyr Pilica. I admit that this deck's best pool of resources is the Banish Zone. Ritual Beasts do access and abuse the graveyard in the Banish Zone, but later and later into the progression of the duel, the Banish Zone becomes a larger and more accessible resource pool than the graveyard. And that's the reason why I've always tweaked with my ratios on Win. I normally play 2 of her. There was a build when I was trying to play Turbo, and I played triple Gold Sark and triple Win, because you could go Win, Gold Sark combo, and you can start up a Conahawk search. It's not the best combo, but it's another way to get a 2-card combo and generate some advantage. But it's not that strong because one of your monsters has already been summoned that turn. But yeah, for right now, to make it competitive, I had to cut Win down to 1. And you play the 2 because Laura and Zephyr and Pilica do the same thing, except they're different names. And don't get me wrong, your graveyard still is a pool of resources, especially because you can take monsters from your Banish Zone, summon them, and then link with them or do whatever you want and put them in the graveyard anyways. So these cards are always live. It's just like when you're getting deeper and deeper into the duel, your Banish Zone has like the best resources, unless you fetch them yourself by using your traps. So yeah, those are the tamers that tame the beast that I'm about to show you. Pretty awesome archetype, beautiful artwork, and it's really strong. It's a strong archetype. They had a card hit on the ban list for a reason, which was their best card. We have triple Conahawk. Besides your Elder, it's your best starter play. Even times when you don't have the combo, just having Conahawk and protection for your Conahawk means that you could still go for game, which is pretty strong, just on the follow-up for the next turn. And then we have triple Rampengu, kind of like another way to Conahawk, but just in a different way. But don't get me wrong, Conahawk's way better than Rampengu. It's just nice because you need to load your graveyard and your Banish Zone, and Rampengu does both of those, so it instantly nets resources to the two pools that I mentioned, the pool of resources being the grave and the banish zone. And then we have one Apelio. I cut the dolphin. You guys, I really love the dolphin. I like that it can bounce cards because this deck struggles with getting over cards that can be destroyed because its main method of removal is destroying. But it's just like, when it comes down to cutting cards, remember I was telling you, you cut what you want for what you need. And that's what I did. I cut it what I want for what I need. I wanted to play triple Gold Target. I wanted to play Brain Research Lab. You know, I wanted to play this deck really combo heavy. But in order to take it competitive, which I'm showcasing you guys this build, because if you want to play Ritual Beast, follow this build. This is your blueprint, your guideline. This is the way to play the deck. This is how you play competitive. So that's going to sum up all of your Ritual Beasts and their Tamers. It's a pretty hefty amount, and what I like to do is play a balanced amount of each. I don't want to play too many of one and not enough of the other. I want to play kind of just the exact same amount of each, so that I don't have hands where I draw all Tamers or all Beasts. I want to draw both. And then for our hand traps, I decided to do pairs because I do play a tad bit of draw power, and I also play shared ride, so I wanted to be able to draw different name hand traps and still resolve them versus drawing too many of the same one that's hard once returned. So starting with double Ash Blossom, double Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, really powerful hand trap, especially next format. It's good against Thunder Dragons, it's good against Gokis, it's good against Sky Strikers, it's pretty much good against the best decks. That's why I main deck it right now. I told you guys, I want this deck to be competitive. You know, I really do. So this is my way of tweaking it to be so. I have 2 Drone Lockbirds. Considered playing the Great Fly. I should really play it because it just has that interaction where you can add Droll. But with this deck, okay, people don't believe it, but like I don't know why they don't believe it. This deck OTKs all the time. It doesn't OTK turn 1. It OTKs turn 2 because turn 1 you're setting up, you're bored, and then on your opponent's turn 1, if you got to go first, of course, you're just disrupting their plays. You're spamming monsters from the Banished Stone and Grave, and you're nuking their field, and then your next turn, you just attack for game. So if you draw and Lockbird them, you can OTK on the follow-up. So draw and Lockbird is not a minus. And if you draw it on the shared ride, you just use it whenever you feel it's time to stop. And then I still play double Ghost Ogre. I still wanted to play the Ogres. Now, my other hand traps play around midfield breaker, but I felt that Ghost Ogre, it's not just about Gokis, right? Ghost Ogre is good against other decks that don't play midfield breaker. Like, it's really good against Sky Strikers. Like it's better than most people think. It's really good against Sky Strikers. It's really good against Altergeist. Hitting their protocol and their spoofing is really, really important. It's powerful against Dracos. If you can hit their diagrams or hit their baby Dracos. It's so many applications that this card has. It's really, really strong, especially against rogue decks. It's really, really powerful. And just because people play Magical Midfield Breaker doesn't mean they're going to draw it every game. So you can still use this against Gokis. Like, I don't know. Some people just refrain from playing Ghost Ogre altogether because Gokis play Midfield Breaker, right? But it's like, are Gokis 100% of the entire meta? No. There are other decks out there that are good that can be stopped by Ogre. And like I said, I wanted to play different name hand traps, but I didn't want to just play one of hand traps. I wanted to play them at least 2 so that I have a higher chance of drawing them under my shared ride. So we're going to keep the hand traps here because they're pivotal to my strategy with shared ride, which, you know, starting off our spells, I play triple shared ride. So this deck is very reactive. It doesn't have any proactive aspects. It doesn't have any continuous floodgate-esque effects unless you want to play Griffin. So what it does is just respond to everything that you can respond to. And it has a lot of ways to disrupt your opponent's plays. If you want to play other cards like Solemn Strikes and Recalls just to have more monster negates, highly recommend that if you can find the space. I would be playing Double Strike, Double Recall just because I don't want to pay too many life points, so Recall is a good mitigation for that. But for right now, I'm really playing other disruptions that are, you know, spell speed too, which is, you know, not as good as Strike. But the shared ride is a huge part of my strategy. Because like I said, I want the deck to be reactive. I want to be able to stop my opponent. If I can set up my board and then stop my opponent on their turn, I can OTK them. All I need to do is just stop them. So shared ride paired with your hand traps is an easy way to just diminish everything that your opponent does. And mediocre boards are nothing for this deck. And even solid decks, unless the board has like 3 negates, this deck can play through 2. This deck can play through 2. Because one Kanahawk will play through 2 negates, brother. Once you summon it and use his effect, they're going to try to negate it. Unless they're responding with a strike, you can chain his effect to tag out. And then if they don't have the proper negate for that because he returns himself to the extra deck for cost, you're going to resolve his effect. if they use something like impermanence, for example. So yeah, this deck, people, it does play through negates. So it just depends. But these cards, diminishing marginal value, my friend. That's the kind of situation that it puts your opponent in, because it's like you're plussing really hard and you're drawing all the outs, which is really strong. And whenever you're ready, you just ambush steeds them. You hand trap them and then ambush steeds them, and then you just OTK. I still play double pot. I need to draw power, and while I hate banishing some of my certain names, I just find that it's just too important, you guys. Like I said, I want to play the deck really competitive, so sometimes you have to just make sacrifices. And I hated Pot of Desires in this deck in the past because I love keeping my names in my deck, but it's just so important, you guys. Pot is a necessary evil, just like hand traps are. And then I do play double Called by the Grave. Cards like Impermanence, Veiler, and Ghost Ogre do absolutely nothing to this deck. The cards that can hurt it are Joel and Lockbird specifically, and Ash Blossom. Like, I guess if you want to Winter Cherries, nobody's playing Winter Cherries targets for Ritual Beast, I promise you. So this is here only for Joel and Lockbird and Ash Blossom. That's it. And other than that, if they don't Joel or Ash you, they can't Impermanence or Ogre you or Veiler you. Your cards tag out, so they're going to miss the timing. They're going to miss their target, and Ghost Ogre can't destroy it if it's returning itself back to the extra deck. So we're resolved. So if you can't hit Ash or Joel, you set this as a trap. So if you have Claw by the Grave plus Shared Ride, in addition to all your other real traps that you play in back row, you have a really strong setup for your disruptions. So yeah, like I said, deck has a lot of disruptions. But these cards go in tandem with each other, really. Then we have one-ups. We have one Ritual Beast Return. Really good extender, as well as one Bond. These are both just extenders. Bond is it's actually better at OTKing than it is at extending your plays. But don't get me wrong, it can help you out a lot. You can even summon one of your Apelios, not the ulti Apelio, but the regular Apelio in battle phase, just to finish the game off. If you were off by like 1,000 light points, you just activate this from hand in battle phase, finish the game. I like Return, and I love its artwork. It tells a sad story about what happened when the Shadows took over and they took Falco. Long story. I'm into Hidden Arsenal lore. And then we have the one Monster Reborn. I do not play Soul Charge in this list because Soul Charge counteracts with what I'm trying to do, which is OTK. The only time Soul Charge is good is in turn 1 if you just want to make a bigger, better board. But you don't need to do that with this kind of deck, with the strategy and especially the way I'm playing it. You just want to play Reborn because Reborn can help you if they Solemn Strike your Kanahawk. Like when you're going off to get the resources for your OTK, they strike you, you Reborn your Kanahawk, and then you go for game anyway. So yeah, I just like the Reborn, and it helps because a lot of people forget that you could just use Reborn on your opponent's monsters. Most people use it on their own monsters, but this card is really good to just use on your opponent's monsters, especially depending on the matchup. As you guys can clearly see, I have absolutely cut Gold Sarcophagus out of my list. It's a really good card, but it only goes good in combination with other cards. So a lot of the times, if I didn't draw a specific card next to it, it was a dead draw. Like, for example, I would draw Elder Goldsark, and all the other cards would be like hand traps and spells, and I'm like, I can't do anything with Elder Goldsark. Only time it's really good is when you draw Win Goldsark. If you draw Win because she summons from Banish Zone and Goldsark, you can do a little combo. But other than that, it's just like, it wasn't really good unless my hand was already good, and I don't like that. If my hand is already good, I don't really need a card like this. This can be as an extender just to load a different name in your Banish Zone, but your deck already does that, and that's exactly what Ritual Beasts are already good at. So I just felt that I just really want to take Gold Sarcophagus completely out of the deck for the competitive build. For the combo heavy build, yeah, it's a really good combo piece, because the combo heavy build, you're going to have better hands because you're going to play a lot more combo pieces. But for this build, I wanted to circumvent for a lot of the lackluster, just a lot of the lacklusterness of the deck by putting in really, really competitive, high impactful cards that are not 1-for-1 exchanges, but bombshells. So yeah, no more Gold Sark and no Soul Charge. So that concludes the spells. All your spells are really broken. And the hand traps. Now we're going to go ahead and go into the traps. So we play triple Ritual Beast Steeds. Steeds is not once per turn. That's why I absolutely maximize on it, because you will play against some really good decks that can actually live through one Steeds and then come back in the same exact turns that you Steed them, and they can still build a board. But if you have double Steeds, it's more than likely that they won't. Because you Steed once, they Soul Charge. You Steeds again, what are they going to do? Soul Charge again? So it's really strong. I like it a lot. And it does not target. That's the important thing. It just destroys up to the number. And that's what I like about the card. It doesn't target. So, if you have a board that has monsters that can't be targeted, you know, it just plays around that. So it's a really strong card, and it's searchable. And then we have triple ambush. A lot of players like to play this card at 2. I am a man who believes in the grind game, and I don't like losing to my own deck when it's like I could have won because I had that third ambush. That's came up a lot for me because I resolve an ambush per turn. So like first turn I'm setting up with one, and if I can't win second turn, I'm searching out another one. And then if I still can't win the third ambush, I need it. It helps so much. You really, really need the ambush, and it plays through specific negations, which are really, really important in the long run. So you just really need the third ambush for me, and it just helps out so much. Plus, you're playing Pot of Desire, so if you banish one of the two or both, you're completely out of the game. But playing 3 also can help to eliminate that problem. So ultimately, long story short, you need to play 3 ambush. I know a lot of people, you know, have their opinions on it, but me personally, I'm just gonna tell you guys this: I'm a huge advocate for 3. The card's amazing. Then we have triple infinite impermanence. I was debating on Solemn Strike or Impermanence. I could not fit both, and that's the sad story. I wish I could fit Solemn Strike because it's such an incredible card, but I actually chose over the Solemn Strike. I chose Impermanence because you can still play it on turn 0, which was really important because this deck struggles going second. It really does. That's why I play so many hand traps in the main deck. If you saw, I had the Ghost Ogres, the Ash, the Joel, the Cherries. That's 8 plus the 11. Plus the 3 impermanence, that's 11 hand traps in the main. So, you know, it just helps you to combat the meta in general. And, you know, setting it as a real trap becomes a 2-for-1, which is really good. And then we have triple Goes in Match. Goes in Match is insane in this deck. All your attributes are wind. All your fusion monsters you go into are wind, except for Ultia Paleo, and that's a win condition in itself. And then your Link monsters win. You know, this card only conflicts when you're trying to go into like a boar load for game, but you got to think of it this way: if you already have goals in, you already have game anyways. So it's really good. It helps going second as well to break boards, because if you could just flip goes in, you know, combo with an impermanence, or, you know, flip steeds, chain goes in, stuff like that, you could just really break boards, and it just helps you in general. So yeah, I could have done strike and impermanence, or strike and goes in, but ultimately I was like, impermanence and goes in are so much better, and I wish I could play the strike, but I just don't have room. And then the final trap of the deck is Macrocosmos, because it's freaking insane, you guys. Macrocosmos is insane. This card is so good, you guys. It beats everything except for, you know, Thunder Dragons whenever they come out. Then when we have our extra deck, we have 1 Ultia Paleo, the win condition. This is your Herald of Perfection. Herald of Perfection, you guys. 3,200 attacker, Herald of Perfection. No limit to once per turn. As many times as you want. Negate, negate, negate. As long as you have Ritual Beast cards in your hand, this card can continue to negate everything that your opponent does. And it resolves in Battle Step, and it's not once per turn. And if I'm not mistaken, according to the rulings, this card builds chain links on itself. So it's broken. You just use your regular Konahawk, load up your hand with ammunition, and you go into this card. This is your trump card. When you're going into mid-game, you want to hold a card like this until you hit the mid-game. If you don't hit the mid-game, you never needed it. But if you hit the mid-game, it's time to bring out this boss and win the duel. Then you have the 1 Konahawk, because he's the GOAT. He's the searcher of your deck. Then we have double Apelio and double Pedalfin. It does come up occasionally when you need the third, but it doesn't come up enough to want to play more than 2. And then also a Pedalfin, the same thing. Like, you need more than 1. Just, you know, really, it's a safety precautions measure. It's pretty hard to get over this card. It's a wall, and it's really important for your setup. So yeah, those are the fusions. Well, there's one more fusion. There's Mechaba as one of the winner choice target for the Invoked Mech Knight Sky Striker matchup. Then we have double Kunrina Falcos, your most gone into Link monster. Card's insane. It's an extender. It helps you to beat over monsters and helps you to OTK, makes bigger, better boards, and it still has the tag out effect, which is broken. We have Boar Load, Bust Your Board Wide Open Dragon. We have Firewall, Any Soul Day, and Tomahawk as the remaining 3 cherry targets. So these are the 4 cherry targets. I don't have Kogari. If I had it, I would easily play Kogari. I feel that Kogari is better than Hayate and Shizuku, so Kogari would be the winner cherry's target. But these are for Goki and Dark Warriors, you know, extra link dot decks. And then also Tomahawk is the same thing for, you know, decks that are trying to do something. like Dark Magician, you know, is one example. Mermels, this is one of their playstars. Like, for Mermels, sometimes it's better the cherries, the Tomahawk, than it is their actual Firewall, because Mermels can still build a powerful board without Firewall just by using Tomahawk. So, you know, Tomahawk is a really smart cherries target. By the way, you guys just really play it. And then the last 2 cards are Exiton Knight and 1 Dweller. Dweller Ambush is really strong because if you're playing against like BAs or any deck that has graveyard floaters, if you activate Dweller and Standby and then you ambush them, nothing's going to happen. And the same thing for Thunder Dragons. Their cards can activate if they hit the grave. If they're under Dweller, you can just ambush the whole Thunder Dragon field. As long as it's not the fusion, you can ambush them and they won't get their effects in grave. So yeah, Dweller is going to be really powerful next format. That concludes the deck profile, you guys. It's very in-depth, very competitive. I hope that you enjoyed it. I put my foot into this build, you guys. I worked really hard on it. God bless you. Thank you so much for your time of day. I appreciate you guys a lot. Y'all be safe. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. And stay tuned because I have a lot more surprises for you guys. All right, peace.